especially Dr. Seelig and Dr. Mead. Appreciate you guys being here to help us learn about what's going on. Michelle, would you be able to take notes this evening? I'm sorry, I can't hear you. You're muted.
I said today's not a great day. I'm not in a great spot. Can somebody else take it?
I'll do it, Kate.
Listen.
I'll do it. I'll do it, Kate.
Thanks, Mrs. Cooper.
Thanks. Sorry, Kate.
Okay, no problem. So with that, I will turn this meeting over to Dr. Seelig, and we can begin to go through this agenda here.
Thanks. So I'll start with number one, and then I'll pass to Anne, who can talk through a few of the other items. One's probably the big item for today, and I do think Kate will need an action on this one if everybody is content with the outcome. So we put out a survey to the community a couple weeks ago regarding the school calendar for next year. There were two options. One, and they were both very similar with the exception of the way we were treating our professional development days. One option had 10 days that were 1 hour early dismissals, and the other calendar consolidated those professional developments into 6 half days. So the logic was you could actually get a lot more done. Some of those 1 hour ones are really tricky. Sometimes you have people that come in late, and people that who are at a late start school versus an early start school, so it can get a little tricky, and it really gets hard to sort of get any depth into a training with just 1 hour. So the thinking was that by going into a half day, you'd actually get more productivity out of some of those days. But anyway, we put it out there, right? And the other thinking was parents might prefer only 6 days having to figure out childcare for an early dismissal, as opposed to having those 10 days to try to figure out what to do with that extra 1 hour. So we put the survey out, and we had a pretty good response. We had 2,238 total responses, and out of that, it was about a 60-40 split. So 40% wanted the 1 hour dismissal and 60% wanted the half day calendar. So it was pretty overwhelming to go with the half day calendar. And I don't know, Kevin or Ann, if you guys had any more insight into some of the distinguishing characteristics of the two calendars.
I think from a parent's perspective, they like the fewer days where they have to find care, and it's easier to take a half day off from work than just an hour off from work to be able to receive their children off the bus. I will say that in the survey, we had 137 students respond. And so though we can't tell who they are, we assume that many of them might have been at the high school and work after school. And so this gives them a longer chunk of time to be able to work in the afternoon. So that's it.
And one thing that was common to both, this year we're going to be doing a kindergarten orientation for the first 3 days of school. The parents will set an appointment with the teacher. The kids will come in, learn where to hang their coat and put their lunch and all that kind of stuff, how to get on the bus. And we'll also be doing a sort of general kindergarten assessment to just get a sort of baseline diagnostic reading for the teachers, so they can start to think about how to calibrate some of the curriculum for the year ahead.
May I ask, I just want to confirm, with my understanding that the administration also felt like the half days would be more useful in terms of putting together professional development programs.
Yeah, I didn't want to really promote one calendar over the other, but from a professional development standpoint, the half day calendar is certainly more beneficial. It just gives you a better opportunity to sort of dig in and do something productive, and not have people kind of rolling in and out over the course of an hour and just sort of, making appearances. So
thank you. Other committee members, any thoughts on that, or any comments?
I just think it's a good suggestion.
I'm sorry, Mike, I had some technical difficulties there.
Sorry, go ahead.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
If I go in and out, or I don't know what's going on. I think it's a long time coming to look at half a days. Mm-hmm. And I understand back in the olden days when we get release time for an hour early dismissal. But it really makes sense as a parent, and I've been that route, and they're a grandparent. It makes more sense to be able to uh, do what you need to do for your child. Do it instead of having an hour trying to reconnect your schedule and work. And a lot of our people don't work full time 8 hour job. They
Mhm.
do 4 hours over here and go somewhere else. So it really makes sense for us to move in this direction. And then hopefully, if it doesn't work, and we might have to change, we can go back and change to the 1 hour early dismissal.
Mhm.
So I think it's a great choice.
Great, thank you.
I agree as well. I guess flexibility is always good. So
Yeah,
I think it provides that. So I'm good. Thank you.
And so, Ms. Cooper, to the point you just made, and Michelle, the point you just made, I'm hoping with this 1 year district calendar, we can come back and kind of reassess maybe this time next year. And then we can have a 2 year calendar that the board can consider at that time. So I appreciate your feedback this evening.
So, Dr. Seelig, can I confirm we're looking for a recommendation to bring this back to the full board? Is that right?
that's
Do we need
correct.
to make a motion on that?
Procedure, I believe it is a motion.
You need a motion here.
Okay.
Yeah. You need a motion.
I'd like to entertain a motion that we make a recommendation to the board about going with the calendar that has six half days for professional development on it, please.
I'll second that. I'll second it.
Okay.
Thank you. All those in favor?
I
Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. Okay. So that was the first item there. Moving down the agenda, the FACE update.
Mhm. Great. Thank you, Kate. It's great to see everyone again. So I wanted to give a couple of updates on things that we're doing here in the community as part of our role in the family school community partnerships in the FACE Center. Our first one is we have been able to leverage the work of CREC, the Capital Regional Education Council, to do welcoming walkthroughs through the Connecticut Walkthrough Initiative for all of our schools. And so over the last few weeks, we have trained 77 people in the protocol under the guidance of the folks from CREC that are the trainers for this. This program was born out of the desire to improve family involvement in our schools. The initiative makes families feel welcomed to celebrate the diversity of their school communities and set unique goals to improve how inviting their school appears to be in the community, which ultimately, if you have a welcoming school and families feel part of the school, then students will soar in their academics. So the Welcoming Schools protocol goes through 4 different areas of the school: physical, state, school-wide practices and policies, how welcoming school staff is, and written materials. And so we've gone through the first part of this of training staff. And so we had a day where we had all our family liaisons, and then a day last week where we had principals, assistant principals, social workers, secretaries, you name it, principals sent folks out to take the training. In total, as I said, we had 77 folks to complete the training. They are now forming teams in their schools, inviting families in to be part of these teams, and signing up on our sheet with the folks from CREC who will be the team leaders in their school. So we have been able to leverage these 4 wonderful individuals that are trained in this protocol to really be able to support the team, walk them through the protocol itself, debrief with them, and then they will generate a report back to us and to each school principal as to the recommendations. This is now a national tool that is used. And so we feel very, very comfortable in using it and getting the feedback from our correct folks as to what needs to be done in our schools. And so this will both support how welcoming their schools are and improving how our schools appear, as well as will inform the SIP, school improvement plans as well. It's part of this bigger picture of how do we welcome families into our schools. And so that's one initiative. We're really excited that we've been able to do that. This initiative has, we are part of the Connecticut Family Network Schools, which is part of a federal grant that CREC received. And so that's where the funding comes from to do this program and to cover the costs of the CREC folks and their report back to the school principal. So we're really excited about that initiative. I wanted to give you a little bit of an update on the actual FACE Center, Family and Community Engagement Center. As many of you have been aware over the years, it was at 49 Osborne Street. And last year we moved from there while they do the construction to 17 Cottage Street. So we had to do a little finagling on how we were doing that, but still making it welcoming, still providing all the resources and the services that we offer our families. I feel that we've been pretty successful in doing that for our families. We certainly can tell by the doorbell ringing on an average every 3 minutes of a family entering the building for whatever need, that they're very happy and coming back to us. And so one of the big highlights of the center is that's where central registration is. So families are registering online and then they're bringing in their paperwork. They receive a nice welcome package while they're there, and loads of different types of resources, both in the community, especially for our new families. So they, are still trying to acclimate to Danbury, become familiar with the resources. So it's important that we put these resources right in their hands. We also have recognized that over the last year, 2 years, we did not have our play groups. And so this morning, Morris Street, FRC at Morris Street School began their play group, and we will begin a play group next Wednesday at 17 Cottage Street. And the benefit of these play groups is we're able to support parents with children birth to age 5, identify developmental needs, developmental delays, and help these families get the services, as well as get books into their hand and songs and all those things that are the precursors to getting children ready for kindergarten. Because we have so many new families coming in, and we know that there is definitely a shortage of healthcare services in Danbury, or those that provide services have long waiting lists. And we've been fortunate to be able to partner with Richfield VNA Health, and we now run 2 health clinics a month. We see anywhere between 14 and 20 children that need full health school physicals in order to start school. What was happening is families were coming in, don't have insurance, couldn't leverage the community resources because of their waiting lists, but were all set, registered, and ready to go to school, but couldn't start school because they didn't have their physical. So the VNA provides these services. We're there, usually we start about 2 in the afternoon and go to 7 or 8 at night. They send in several registered nurses and a doctor. So a child gets a full physical, eyes, hearing, sight, weight. They receive a nice bag full of goodies to take home, books and food. They meet with a social worker as well. So it is a comprehensive physical for these children. And then we make sure that they receive their vaccinations and whatever else they need and are ready to start school. So we're really, really proud of that initiative. Another thing that we've been really working on is upping our parenting programs to our parents. I'm proud to say that we have 20 parents in Parents Supporting Educational Excellency right now, and we'll be starting People Empowering People at the end of April. We also have Zumba classes going on. We have a positive discipline class that's happening all through our ELP and our 21st Century Learning program. So there's a lot of parenting program that parents can partake in at any time. We are currently, of course, doing registration for our summer learning programs. The Sensational Summer Program is filled at this point. We are taking more families on a waiting list, but we always know that that program fills up fairly fast. And then our 21st century programs will provide after-school care in the schools yet to be determined for students that are going to summer school as well in those 21st century schools. Our liaison project is almost filled, that we've been able to have a liaison at every single school. They too have been trained in the welcoming protocol, and we meet every Friday morning to do further training around community resources. And the feedback from principals have been very, very positive. They like the bridges that the liaisons are creating between home and school and helping our families to understand the expectations of schools, but also to make parents feel that they're welcome in our schools. The last 2 years didn't do us a lot of good in being able to engage with families in person. And so families are happy to be back. But we're also doing some major training upcoming with teachers as well to help them be able to better partner with families. Our newsletter is just about ready to go out. We have been working with Mr. Walston to do a monthly newsletter, activities and I use 3 E words: engage, empower, and educate our parents. They're workshops that our parents have asked for. So we have one coming up on talking to your child about drug and alcohol in the home, another one on safety internet concepts or internet safety. So that newsletter will be coming out. And by the end of the week, that does go out in 3 different languages through our robocall system in Parent Square. So we're really excited about that. I think our biggest news today is we heard from Stop and Shop Charities that they are funding our 4 food pantries at 4 of our schools in the amount of $20,000. So we know that food is still a big need for our families. And so that will go a long way in helping help our families put food on the table. Okay. We also got a pollinator garden grant for Great Plains School. So, and the community agency matched that grant. So we have a nice $1,000 to be able to put that garden in. So being a gardener, I'm really, really excited about that. And I think that's about it. I encourage everyone to come out and visit the center and take a walk through. There are children there every day. There are our preschool special ed classrooms, our school readiness classrooms are in that building. It is a fun, happy place to visit. So do come out. Lastly, I'd like to just quickly talk about our K Bridge visits that we did last fall. We were fortunate to use some of that, I think it was CARES 1 money or ESSER 1 money, one or the other, or that we recognized that we couldn't have those in person, come walk your kindergarten class, come meet the teachers, but we felt we still as a team needed to do something for our families to get them acclimated to what kindergarten was. And so there's several different national models out there. We looked at a home visiting one, but we came across this kindergarten bridge visit, and it has been used very successfully here in the Northeast as well as in Connecticut. And so we had 745 visits conducted by our kindergarten teachers. And so this was data that was collected up to December of this past year. And so we had 99% of our kindergarten teachers participate. They called each incoming kindergarten student, introduced themselves, and then set up about a half an hour, the call averaged call, Zoom meeting, or a Google Meets meeting to ask just one question of the families. What are your hopes and dreams for your children? And that just opened up the door for parents to talk freely with the teachers about their child. It enabled the teachers to ask questions, the parents to ask questions of the teachers, as well as get an idea of the children that were coming into the schools. Get to know what these children are, what makes them tick, what resources the families needed. And so I will share this with the committee in written form. It was really great to see the feedback from all the surveys that we did, and how school and how the teachers would love for this to continue on. So that's all. There's probably a bunch of little other things that are going on. Our as I said, that doorbell rings constantly. People just show up, they call. There's 3 of us on phone lines during the day, all day. And the bilingual staff I have do an absolute wonderful job in meeting these parents in their native language and make them feel very comfortable when they arrive at the building. So that's it.
So,
Dr. Mead, that was a
and
lot.
I'd like
Thank you.
to, yeah, yes. And there's always a lot going on in Ann's office. So Ann, thank you for that update.
You're
I
welcome.
just wanted to share with the board and anyone who might be listening. One, I just added in the chat for everyone. And as you were speaking, just like I
Yeah,
did
thank
on
you.
Monday night, I pulled an excerpt from the CREC Welcome in Schools page, just so the board can, the committee can get a little better understanding of the Connecticut Welcome Schools Initiative. And then for anyone who might be watching at home, www.crec.org /welcome in schools is the website our families can go to learn a little bit more about the work that's happening. But I just want to applaud Ann, her family liaisons who have been amazing engaging in this work, and appreciate you, Ann, for your leadership, and the principals who have really taken an amazing first step in this work, engaged in professional development last week. Every single school was represented in a training. And I think it speaks volumes about our principals and the liaisons and how engaged they are and how committed they are to making sure that their schools are welcoming for our parents and for our kids. So Ann, thanks again for your leadership in this.
Can I just add something? We're very fortunate to have this CREC group and our Connecticut Family School Partnership, because everything we do through them, we're able to send them the data, and Dave Beckel is our evaluator. And so we get great feedback from him. He looks at the data, everything that we send him in the form of, pre and post surveys and things like that. But I just wanted to follow up on what Kevin was saying, just 5 different things really, really quick on the summary of the workshop evaluations from the principals. Principal A said, how this can help move our school forward, the actual welcoming protocol. Eye-opening about what we thought was welcoming that did not include a lot what was mentioned. And these are all principal or vice principal comments. How to view our school as welcoming. It gave me a new perspective on what it means for my school to be welcoming. Practical applications to improve our practices and systems. And then lastly, they talked about looking for some plans on how teams and schools can meet to have better transitional stages in student education, especially between like that 5th and 6th grade on to, elementary onto middle, and then middle to onto high. So we're on to something new here. And, anything we can do to help build the capacity of the schools and build our families, that's what it's all about. We know that those 2 components are the major drivers of student success.
Thanks again, Ann.
Dr. Mead, I just wanted to ask you a couple
Yeah.
quick questions if I could.
Yeah.
You mentioned the Sensational program, the
Yes.
summer program that
Yes.
runs. How many spots do we have available in that program?
We're at 130 right now, students that registered in 3 days. And so we are looking to still recruit more staff. If I'm able to bring in more staff, then we'll be able to open up more spaces for that program. We have about 100 families on a waiting list right now. And that's a full-time program.
And that runs for part of the summer or the whole summer?
That runs for 6 weeks in the summer, starting the last week of June through the first complete week of August 5th. Yeah.
And just to play on words, it really is a sensational program, and I can understand why that there's a waiting list to get in.
Yeah.
I walked through that program last year, and I called Ann immediately because it's the same program I would have been fishing for my kids when they were that age, from tennis to board games to team sports. I mean, the kids are just having fun and being bounced from activity to activity. It's a well-run program.
Mhm. And this year it's going to be a little bit different. We're still going to include all those things that Kevin said. But last year, the students were able to spend one day at New Pond Farm in Reading, experiencing farm life. And this year, by grade, each grade will go for a week. So they'll come in, the parents will drop them off, eat breakfast, they'll get on the bus with their counselors. By 9, they'll be on the road down to Reading, and then they'll come back around 3 or 3:30. And so they'll partake in the activities of the farm. So they'll learn how to clean out stalls and milk cows and the whole milk thing, how milk is processed, yogurt. And then there's a new weather station down there. They'll be able to do some of the Native Americans things that they have going on. There'll be all kinds of arts and crafts. So they'll get a good week down there experiencing that farm. And that suggestion came directly from families that they were very excited having that one day. Could we expand on that? So
That's phenomenal. Yeah.
wonderful partners there.
As far as the staff, you talked about trying to recruit more staff. Are those typically teachers that apply to do that work, or are we recruiting other folks from the community? Or
So for the summer, Kate, so for the summer, we encourage staff that's with us during the year to stay. But then some key points of the program, we do use the Scholastic Lit Camp program. And so we do have teachers that are there as well, because they're looking at student scores. Towards the end of the year, most of the students that are in Sensational are not required or asked to go to summer school, but yet they may be on the cusp of still needing more reading. And we don't want to hear about summer loss. We want students to continue on. So using that Lit Camp curriculum that Scholastic has written, they're able to do all kinds of activities. So we do use teachers for that. And there is a tutoring component, or a real strong, for children that parents want more for them during the summer too. Yeah.
thank you. I know there's a lot of demand in the community for summer
Yes.
programs, so that's wonderful.
Yeah, absolutely.
Committee members, do you have any questions for Dr. Mead?
Hi. Just one quick one. Is it possible to get one of those welcome packets? Is it the FCC you're mentioning? That when you
Yes.
first go in to register, like, is it in different languages? Is it possible to get our hands on one?
The welcome package for the district. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah,
That'd be
absolutely.
great.
And so we have all kinds of different things in it. And one of the things that the principals asked for last week is a sheet for their school. So we are now in the process of working with school principals to develop a sheet. So if you come in and say, I'm a new family, I know I'm going to go to Ellsworth School, we give you the packet, and then we give you the sheet for Ellsworth. Again, we're trying to create that bridge from brand new. Here's your district welcome package, has a great letter in it from Kevin, has the calendar, community resources, heating, fuel, medical, all kinds of different things in it. But then we will be able to give them the sheet from their school too. So there's that bridge to their school. Yeah.
Great. And there's like sports information in there, or teams, or like that. Like if they wanted to really had an interest in that and a connection with that.
Absolutely. So our resource list is 2 pages. It's pretty comprehensive of all the different things going on in Danbury organizations, sports, our PAL, our park and recreation, our mental health providers, all kinds of things like that. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Do come see us.
I do.
Yeah. Yeah.
Any other board members have questions? Oh, okay. It looks like we can move on. Thank you, Dr. Mead, for that
You're very welcome.
comprehensive update
Very welcome.
to the strategic planning.
Okay, so I'll be quick with this. I know Superintendent Walston's updated the board. He sent a letter out last week, and then there was also some a little overview given at, I think, the board training a few days ago. But I wanted to make sure we spoke to this committee about it, because I know when the original strategic plan, the current strategic plan really started being formulated around 2019. And at that time, Superintendent Walston spent a lot of time out in the community talking to, town halls and community forums and making sure to just get a lot of feedback so the community really saw themselves in the document. The high level document that has this sort of 6 major goals on it was the sort of, I guess, the roadmap for the strategic plan. And that really got finished up right around late 2019, early 2020. So it never really had a chance to sort of grow the legs and get sort of baked into, into action plans and all the things that come when you're doing a strategic plan. It never really happened just because of the pandemic. So it basically got put in a drawer. And, sort of these ideas around, big thinking ideas, long-term planning, all that kind of stuff just went on hold during the pandemic because we were just so busy triaging the issues of the moment. So last few months, we've been bringing that back out, and because it had so much community input in it, we wanted to preserve that original document that was made in 2020. But we're going to be restarting it now as the 2022 to 2027 strategic plan. So it'll have a 5-year arc to it. Now, we had a little cabinet retreat about 2 weeks ago where we had a moderator, Dr. John Ramos, from the Connecticut Centers for School Change. And we went back through the document and we made some very minor tweaks to it. And that was intentional. We did not want to add goals. We didn't want to turn anything upside down or rip it apart. So we made some adjustments with an eye towards what's changed in the district. There's some new realities now that we have to pay attention to in light of the pandemic. And also just some economic and budget realities that we wanted to make sure we accounted for. So that document got sort of a scrubbing, I guess you could say. And that will be shared out with the full board in a workshop that's going to be happening on April 28th from 6 o'clock to 8 o'clock. And that will also be moderated by Dr. Ramos, who moderated our cabinet retreat. So just a few critical dates that I want to run through. So March 24th to 25th was the cabinet retreat. On April 12th, we're actually going to be meeting with our entire administrative council. So all the principals and director level positions to go through the document and to make sure that everybody feels they have, they see themselves in it, that, the important work that in their offices is reflected in the high level goals. So that'll all be on April 12th. And then April 28th is going to be that board workshop with Dr. Ramos. And then we're going to be putting out a district survey right around that same time too, to make sure that people who aren't able to come either to a workshop or the administrative council, that teachers and other staffers are able to see just what the plan is and offer any feedback on it that they want. And then we're going to go into doing the hard work of really building out those high level goals into an action plan that really just says, what are the things that we're going to do? Everything from fixing facilities to rolling out new curriculum to all those different things, and making sure that we have that all very clearly laid out. And then we'll be working with the principals so that they can make sure these goals are baked into their school improvement plans and have them ready to go starting in August. So a lot of that work is going to happen over the summer. And then we expect the full plan to be completed in early fall, where we bring it back to board, hopefully for an action for approval sometime in September.
Okay, thank you very much.
Mm-hmm.
In speaking about this, actually jogged my memory about something that Dr. Mead was talking about as far as getting feedback from parents of the kindergarten, incoming kindergarten class. Is that information being funneled into either the strategic plan or to the portrait of a graduate somehow to sort of, take that feedback and incorporate it?
Yeah, that's actually a really good point. What we're hoping is that a lot of the feedback mechanisms that we've already put out there that have a lot of that already pumped into the plan, but then also through the surveys that we're going to be putting out, and then some of the rounds that we'll be making in the next few months, we're hoping we'll be able to solicit all that and make sure it gets included.
Right. And Kate, we will also, as part of the feedback loop, originally Quite frankly, we thought we had enough feedback without including students. But we're going to include students as part of this process. I think I had updated the board recently. I know I had updated the board recently, or the new board members, I had made them aware. We had engaged quite a few students as part of this process, middle school and high school included. But as part of our survey process, we will also make sure students are part of that process, and we'll see if we can get some of our principals to help us with some structured time for feedback to see if this can also happen during the school day as well.
Great. Thank you.
Sure. Thank you.
Committee members, any questions about the strategic plan?
No.
Will we be getting the previous version? I think Teresa had mentioned that, and then the updated version of the original plan. I think that was a question for last meeting.
We will have a side-by-side for sure, Michelle, so that the board can see the updates.
Wonderful. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other board members have any questions? All right. Well, thank you so much for providing all this wealth of information and letting us know how you guys are communicating, with our school community. Certainly look forward to those updates and to that meeting on the 28th to learn more about the strategic plan that's being developed. I will ask if there are any other questions. Going once, going twice. Then a motion to adjourn, please. If I could get a motion to adjourn. It looks like Michelle's making a motion there. Can I get a second, please?
Yes, then.
Mrs. Cooper, I don't know. You just blinked out, so I'm going to second that motion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. Thank you so much for joining us this evening.
Thank you, Kate.